Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of ZBrush on the iPad. So I had a comment recently with regards to the ZRemesher tool and when should you do it, and the answer to that is whenever you want. There's no right or wrong way or time, but there's probably a time that is more efficient than others. And for me, that's at about this stage. So this is a character been doodling on for a little while. Maybe he's a villain in some James Bond-esque Cold War, type cartoon. But regardless, this is who we're gonna use. So if I zoom on in here and I look at the Polyframe, you can see that it's quite dense. We're at like 1.2 million on the face. Total points throughout the entire model is 4.2 million. And I haven't added any texture in the skin. There aren't any small wrinkles, and that may just be because of the style of character. We have a little bit of detail in kind of this wool lapel, but otherwise everything's pretty flat. Got some laces and little loops in the shoes. Got some tread on the boots. So there is some detail, but it's still in a place where to get that detail I would have needed, at least with this process, a high poly count, right? And so when it's time to ZRemesh things, that's because you're looking to either smooth out some of these little imperfections that make it feel like clay, or maybe you want to keep all those little imperfections and you want to even go further, but you want a base model to leverage for animation or in a game and so forth. Or maybe your poly count is just getting a little too high here in ZBrush and you're struggling to work. All good reasons to ZRemesh. So let's do that. Now, it's important to note that if you want to retain, a lot of the detail, at least the general shapes of your sculpt, you want to be careful with ZRemeshing. I mean, you can undo it, and it's not the end of the world. You can save multiple versions of your document, which is always a good thing. But the reason we're going to do it here, and I'm just going to hide everything except for the head. Alright, so that's all I have is the head, and it's a good idea to name your stuff, your layers. Alright, head, hit enter. Okay, so now if I duplicate that, now we've got a head and a head one. Okay, so I'm going to hide my head model. So now all we have is head one, and that's going to be the one where I run the retopology, which is ZRemesher. So I like to be in Polyframe mode so I can see what's going on there. And you can go ahead and just blindly hit ZRemesh and see what happens. Honestly, a lot of times that's how I start. But if you want to ensure that you keep some of these important areas, you'll notice here in ZRemesher that there are different options, like use poly paint, for example, or curves. So there's curves that you can use to help influence the flow of the retopology, or there's also by using Polypaint, you can protect certain areas. Alright. So I'm going to show you the curve strength method. So that's where you go to all your brushes here, go all the way to the bottom to the ZRemesher brush, and this essentially creates curves. So if I start to draw along the lips, now we've got symmetry on, so that's okay. You know, I think you can move things, maybe not. You know, if this little divot is important, you might want to undo that. Maybe make your brush size smaller. Try that again. There we go, met in the middle. And then just kind of draw these curves in areas that are important to you. And for retopology, you want edge loops to go around the areas that are going to open. So like the mouth and then around the eyes. There are definitely tutorials out there with good quality descriptions on what, you know, good edge flow is for animation and different things, but that's kind of out of the scope of this quick video. You know, and these are kind of suggestions for the ZRemesher. You know, depending on how high you put this curve strength will depend on how closely it follows it. And experiment with it, you know. What works for you may not work for me, vice versa. So obviously there are other ways you may not know, but to retopologize something manually, you do a similar process to this, but with a different brush. And so here you don't want to get too prescriptive, just kind of give it some general directions. And I find that if I do that, it helps kind of tell the ZRemesher tool of which areas are most important to me and which areas, you know, can be a little more lax with. You know, I don't know how much these types of cross section curves really help. So again, something to experiment with. Yeah, I got a little wonky, so I'm gonna redo that one. Nope. Start here. Alright, feels better. You know, the ear is kind of important. We don't want to get big quads on the ear. Yeah, that doesn't turn out great. That make it harder to read. You know, some of these are looking good and some of them definitely aren't. Definitely using, you know, working on these smaller details is trickier. But you can see what I did there, which is helpful, is you don't need to do the entire curve in one pull. You can connect them like so. So So sometimes when you're changing directions or working with smaller areas, that's not a bad idea. You know, maybe I want to take that one and bring it all the way around just to show that that could be a good place to create a little edge loop, but I connected it to the wrong one. So let's try that again. So this one we're going to bring to this point, and then we're going to connect it with that one. Yeah, kind of did some colliding weirdly with those ones. Let's try this. Yeah, it's good enough. And then, you know, maybe we create another edge loop around the ear just to show through repetition or something that, hey, that's important to me. Yeah, you gotta watch how these kind of want to magnet to each other. I don't know how much that's gonna affect things. You know, I have used this process before with these curves, but not to this degree. Usually I'm doing simpler models that don't require as many curves. So anyways, handful of curves in there just to kind of say this is the area I care most about. Here's some general flow that I would like, and let's see how you do. I mean, it's to your preference if you want to come do the neck, do around here, you know, experiment with it. That's all I'm saying. All right, so let's turn on Polyframe. Let's go to ZRemesher. We're gonna say curve strength pretty high, like let's say 80. And then I'm just gonna hit ZRemesh that bad boy. Let's see what it does. All right, the curves disappeared, which sometimes I wish they would stay there to help me see how close it got, but I'm feeling pretty good about this. You can definitely see edge loops going around the mouth. Now whether they're clean or they kind of spiral and are all connected, I'm not sure, but you know, looks like we've got edge loops. Yeah, maybe not quite edge loops around the eyes, but they're flowing generally in a good place, so that may be good enough for you. The ear, we got edge loops around the ear, which is good. Yeah, I'm kind of digging it. And so, depending on what you're looking for, maybe this is a low enough mesh, you know, 10,000 polys. Looking pretty good. You can see he's definitely more faceted, but we kept a lot of the detail. We've even got the detail in the brow and, you know, the nostrils, and so for the style I'm doing, this is pretty good. You know, we can even go to, let's see, tool, geometry, dynamic subdiv to see what it looks like smoothed out. And if we were to compare it to the original, it's going to be probably a little smoother even. And we can compare it to the original because we have it. So if I select that and show them both active, you can see how they overlap each other in places. And the new head is the one that we have selected here. Let's turn off dynamic subdiv. We can get a more true feel for it. And that's pretty close, but to make sure that we're perfect and, you know, tighter to that original mesh, what we can do is a little thing called project and project all. So basically what it's doing is it's looking at the other visible subtools or models and we have our other head visible there, the original head. And I believe we want to have the lower res mesh selected, and then we hit project all, and then it did its things and kind of adjusted. I saw some things move slightly over here, but again, we did a great job, so it didn't need to move too much. And because of the density of the mesh, which isn't very dense, it's not going to move that much either. So let's try it again, but this time let's subdivide a couple of times. Okay, so now we're up to 169,000, and now if we reproject things, it should get us even tighter. Alright, there we go. So now we're seeing the gray kind of poking out all over the place. And then if we're to hide our original, that's really pretty true. So now I can sculpt on this and add all my details, knowing that when I go back down to my first level of subdivision, I'm at 10,600 polys. So that's pretty good. So then when I'm creating assets for a game, for example, I can bake out a normal map from this high resolution one, which is perfectly mapped, to this lower res version, and then, you know, with some game magic and math and all the good stuff, this low res version will look as detailed as the high res version. And then what I would do is go through each part and do the same process, each part of the model. And once you're happy with your retopologized version, you can delete your duplicates, because you've already projected that and got the info from it that you wanted to. So my friends, that's how you retopologize in ZBrush on the iPad using that little handy dandy ZRemesher brush to give a little more control to the final product. Till next time, my friends, keep on creating.